those who are actually just reducing it to a money conversation, need to be warned, because that is not what particularly the communities of our African heritage people across the world you actually want.
Buckingham Palace has today come out rather unexpectedly in support of a research project examining the monarchy's role in the slave trade in the 17th and the 18th centuries. In the statement, reference is made to King Charles's personal sorrow at the suffering of so many affected by Britain's leading role in the transatlantic slave trade. Now, in recent times, these links have come to the fore following a number of Caribbean countries colonised by Britain, including Belize, Jamaica and Grenada, signifying that they will be removing the British monarch as their head of state and revoking their Commonwealth memberships. Well, welcome now to Drive, Kofi Klu, who is the co-vice chair of the Pan African Reparations Coalition in Europe. Kofi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
What is your reaction to this announcement from Buckingham Palace? Do you think this is a useful and powerful starting point, or do you expect more?
Of course, we expect more, but we give this a very cautious welcome. We must commend Buckingham Palace for stepping forward this far, and we know how difficult this is, even though King Charles himself had said that the wrongs of the past, the time has come for these conversations to begin. Those of us who work in various spaces, particularly with people and from organizations and communities racialized as white, know how difficult this is. I mean, for example, our PACO, which works with Extinction Rebellion, through the Stop the Mangameism with Child Genocide Ecocide campaign. And even there, we're having immense difficulties, trying to show the connections between the worldwide climate and ecological crisis and its root causes within, colonialism, and also what we call the transoceanic traffic and enslavement of Africans. So it's a difficult conversation, and that is why an establishment, body like, Buckingham Palace and the British monarchy wanting to, have research, independent research done, that is very, very, very welcome. The only problem we have is that this should not become a mere academic exercise, and that these conversations are restricted to ivory tower citadels of academia, but this engages particularly with the international social movement for African reparations, but in the grassroots of our African heritage communities and other communities of colonized people across the world who have, carried and with resilience this movement for reparatory justice.
And Kofi, this topic of reparations is very interesting. We've seen a number of organisations. We've just seen the Scott Trust, which owns the Guardian newspaper here in the UK, say that they want to pay some reparations, some money. We've seen a big family, Laura Trevelyan's family, wanting to pay reparations. Do you think that is the direction of travel that you would like to see from the royal family?
Not at all. In fact, there is a huge danger of reducing our demand for reparatory justice to just, paychecks and payouts. And it is really devaluing, this tragedy of history when it is all about, we'll give money here and there and so on and so forth. This calls for a fundamental look at, society today and the world that tragic chapters in history have created. We have to look at the root causes and how it manifests, particularly in society today and in the global order, the unjust order of the world. So when we talk about reparatory justice, we're actually talking these days very much about its interconnection with cognitive justice, with environmental justice, in terms of creating a nexus that we call planet repairs. It's a holistic transformation, that we need. So those who are actually just reducing it to a money conversation, need to be warned, because that is not what particularly the communities of our African heritage people across the world you actually want. And let us be careful that the black elites that have mismanaged, our countries, that now and even squandered so-called development aid, wanting to reduce this to something whereby they get more development aid into their elitist pockets to squander. This is not what reparatory justice is about. We're having young people, in organizations like the Higher African Learning Community, of our people talking about this. We're even having, young people racialized as white in Rise and Stroud organizing around this. It is about, first of all, let's have the conversations, and then we can all collectively come to a position as to what works for all of us, Africans as well as non-Africans.
Well, Kofi, what an interesting perspective. That was a really illuminating perspective. I hadn't heard that perspective before, and that's really, really interesting. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That's Kofi Klu, who is the co-vice chair of the Pan African Reparations Coalition in Europe.